You want to know what's interesting? The fact that if you go onto the KHL and you look at the top guys, the top goal, assist guys, Linden Vey is third. He has 52 points in 50 KHL games. So that's above a point per game pace. There are only 2 players in the KHL who have more points than Linden Vey, and those are, well, they're Ilya Kovalchuk with 57 points in 49 games, and Nikita Gusev with 58 points in 49 games, both of which play for the SKA St. Petersburg. Now, Linden Vey, he is a superstar at the moment. He is a superstar outside of Canada, outside of North America. He made Team Canada for the Olympics, reunited with Willie Desjardins on that first-line power play, and he is, without a doubt, one of the best players, if not the best player, arguably, in the KHL right now. And that's great. It's really good for him. Also taking a look at KHL players, if you go to defensemen, now if you sort by defenseman points, guess who is number 1 with 33 points in 49 games played, averaging 25 minutes of ice time per game? Philip Larsen, playing for the Salavat Ulav, the guy who was only able to break 6 points in 26 Vancouver Canucks games. He's now the best defenseman in the KHL, in terms of points. If you want to go even deeper with the points for defensemen, let's look at the number 10th ranked player, with 25 points in 46 games, averaging 20 minutes of ice time per night, Nikita Tryamkin. Yeah, he's got 109 penalty minutes as the 10th best defenseman in the KHL. If you look at goals, let's look at goals for defensemen. And it's interesting, because if you look at goals for defensemen, Nikita Tryamkin, he's tied for 4th. Nikita Tryamkin is tied for 4th in defenseman goals. Guess who's second in that category? It's Philip Larsen. So, let me get this straight. The Vancouver Canucks, they went from having a team that had Linden Vey one year, then losing him out. The next year, we got ourselves Tryamkin and Philip Larsen both on the team. And now, in the year 2017-2018, these 3 players are arguably 3 of the best players in the KHL. Okay. Now, this, it might be a little bit stinging for a lot of Vancouver Canucks fans, and this might not be the best kind of wake-up call for the Canucks, but overall, I don't want to get salty about this. I don't want to get salty about the fact that 3 former Canucks within the past 2 years are all doing very well on their respective KHL teams. A lot of these guys, they've gotten achievements, Defenseman of the Month, Forward of the Month, all that stuff, and Tryamkin's like a pure enforcer. I'm not gonna lie, this guy's got 109 penalty minutes, 46 games, he's first in the league in that category. He leads the league in penalty minutes, and that's kind of weird, man. I mean, wow, okay, so you take a guy who was playing in Vancouver, we were telling him, oh, you gotta play like Chris Pronger, and you gotta be the tough guy, you gotta be able to stand up for your teammates, shove them around a little bit, that's your role here. We told that to him, Nikita Tryamkin, and now, after he goes away back to the KHL, now he's first in penalty minutes in what looks like a role that requires him to be a presence and shove people around and stuff? What? Are you serious? Okay. Let's try to not get salty about that. Let's not get salty about things. In terms of time on ice and Linden Vey and all that, Vey is actually averaging 20 minutes a night. If you take a look at the top 3 scorers in the KHL, Nikita Gusev is averaging 15 minutes of time on ice per game, and Kovalchuk's at 18. So, Linden Vey, man, 21 minutes of ice time per game, almost 22. Realistically, the only other person I could see giving Linden Vey those minutes is, well, Willie Desjardins, but we won't talk about that. We're not trying to be, negative here. We're trying to be positive. Yeah, let's try to be positive. Okay, so here, positivity. Here's a good positive fact. Philip Larsen, the guy who I just mentioned earlier, who only got 6 points in 20 however many games for the Vancouver Canucks, you know how I said he's at 33 points this year in the KHL? Yeah, well, that's good enough to put him at 23rd in total league scoring. Whoa! He's literally a top 30 player in the league as a defenseman in terms of points. He's tied with Eli Tolvanen. Eli Tolvanen, the outstanding Nashville rookie with 17 goals, 16 assists in 41 games. He's tied with Philip Larsen. Larsen is really just tearing things up, and so are Tryamkin and Vey. And, you know, it sucks that they couldn't tear up the NHL. Really does, but at the same time, I don't want to be that guy who sits here like, oh, look at them, Linden Vey is getting this amount of points in the KHL, we should sign him because he looks like a good player. Kovalchuk, he would get a lot of points in the NHL, right? So that means that this guy who's right behind Kovalchuk definitely will as well. No, it doesn't work like that. Some players get used to the KHL ice better than others, and others adjust to the NHL ice much, much better than others. Just because you're a superstar in the KHL doesn't mean you'll be a superstar in the NHL. It takes a lot of different factors to translate that success into the NHL. And some of these players that we're talking about here today, Tryamkin, Vey, Larsen, they just didn't have that factor. And sure, they're playing well in the KHL, but that doesn't mean that they'd be good NHL players. But at the same time, you know, they're making a lot of money. These players who are doing outstandingly well for their KHL teams, it means that they're getting paychecks. Because the KHL, they love their talent and they want good talent, which means that they're willing to pay the price that some of these guys are going to be asking for because, hey, I'm third in the league in scoring. I'm going to demand money and you're going to give it to me because I'm valuable to your team. I don't care about the NHL. I don't care if I was making $925,000 US before on an entry-level deal. I could make so much more staying here in the KHL because they need talent and I have that talent on this ice surface. So, yeah. Other players like, oh, Tryamkin, he did that because, oh, he's homesick and he doesn't want to be in Vancouver, all that stuff, okay. Does he come back? I don't know. I have no idea. Linden Vey, is he ever going to come back to the NHL? No. Most likely not. Philip Larsen? Nope. In the season before Larsen came back to the NHL, this was when Edmonton still had his rights, he was playing for the Jokerit of the KHL, and in 52 games he was able to score 36 points, which was good enough to put him at 5th in the league in terms of defenseman points. So literally, he still was a top 5 defenseman in the KHL before he got traded to Vancouver for a 5th round pick, and then we brought him over, and the rest is history. You guys know that he didn't really perform that successfully here. He was supposed to be the man on the power play, manning that PP, and he wasn't really that. He was supposed to be that right-handed offensive ace, but he wasn't that. 6 points in 26 NHL games for the Vancouver Canucks. Now he's back in the KHL, and he's up there. First in terms of defenseman points, and a top 30 player in terms of overall points. So literally, he's a KHL superstar who couldn't convert in the NHL level. Okay, doesn't mean he's a failure of a player. He'd be making way more money now staying in the KHL than he would be coming to the NHL. And that's really what it's all about. Hockey is the job of these people. This is their profession. It's professional ice hockey. The goal is ultimately to make money, which, if you're playing very well in the KHL and making the big bucks, why wouldn't you want to stay there? They're genuine superstars, and guys like Tryamkin, who we still have the rights to and might potentially come back one day, I have no idea, these are the guys that we can look at and say, oh boy, I hope we can give him a good contract that would compete with whatever amount of money he would be getting at the KHL level. Because we don't really know, and we can't really predict the reputation of the rupee going forward, so whatever happens, happens. But for now, Linden Vey, he's a top 3 player in the league, arguably the best player under 27 years old, and my god, it's incredible, Linden Vey, because he played one season outside of the Canucks organization before going over to the KHL. He was playing for Calgary and their farm team, so yeah, he was playing over there with, I don't know if it was Stockton or Abbotsford, I think it was Stockton, and looking it up here, he got himself 55 points in 61 games, so yeah, that's great. It's really good, but he only played 4 NHL games that year. Then he comes over to the KHL, and, well, 52 points, 50 games. He is the best player on the Baris Astana, alongside of his teammate, who is also top 5 in points, Nigel Dawes. So, yeah, it's a KHL update, guys. and I only really updated it because of 3 players, Philip Larsen, Nikita Tryamkin, and Linden Vey, all elite, quality players playing over there in Russia. It's too bad they didn't pan out at the NHL level, man. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Plus, thanks for downloading your Troll Like Gaming, and bye.